Hiring is one aspect of business operations that's hard to get right today. And although there are multiple candidates that can probably get the job done, finding them usually requires that you have to purchase HR software, and these can be pretty expensive. Sometimes they cost up to hundreds of dollars per month. Now, if you do not have the budget for that, then that means you have to comb through the hundreds or thousands of applications manually trying to find the right person for the job. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. Pretty tough, if you ask me. So, I'm going to show you how to find the best suited candidates for your job roles at a fraction of the time it would take if you were to do it yourself, and at almost no cost. So, let's dive in and I'll show you how it works. So now I'll be going into the app to create the form. Now, as you can see, I'm on the Clickiny app. This is to come here. You go to app.clickiny.com and you'll be asked to sign up for an account or sign into an account if you already have one. I already have mine, so I'm just gonna go right in. Now we're not gonna be creating this form from scratch. We're gonna be working with a template. So let me show you what we'll be using. There are several templates here. So we're going to be using this job application templates because what we're doing pertains to a job application form. It's a job application form, so we're going to be using a job application template. Give it a couple of seconds. So here we are. We're in the template, and I would like to show you what it looks like and how we're going to be using this template to achieve our aim. Now, this is the template welcome page. This is the form welcome page. This is what the candidates are going to see when they sign in. And then after that, we have the personal information page where they'll be prompted to fill in their names, their email addresses, and their phone numbers. So, education, this is to collect information on education background. So, we this form collects information on the highest level of education attained by the candidates and the candidate's field of study. So also we have the work experience. So how many years work experience the candidate has had, the most recent job title, and the industry where they have some experience. So you can see healthcare, tech, and finance. So okay, let's go to job skills. So um, we're going to be assuming that all of these tools are important in our company, and the more of them that the candidate has, the more of these tools that they have in their arsenal, then the better it fits that makes them for the role. And then finally, as you can see in this job specific skills, you can see we have a proficiency where we rate the candidates in their proficiency in epic writing. So epic writing is a skill that's important to us, and we'd like to know how proficient the candidate is at this skill. So and then finally, we ask them some qualitative questions that to get a sense of how they approach problems and how they think. And then obviously their resume, we give them an option to, upload their resume. So this is a complete form. It's a complete job application form, but it's a typical form like the one you would see anywhere. Now we're going to talk about how to make this form special, how to use this type of form to get the best qualified candidates by just making a few, tweaks here and there. Now, the way we're going to do this is by getting a quantitative assessment from the candidates. So we're going to score the candidates and give them points based on their responses to some of these questions. So let's go. Let me show you what I mean. So let's say this is the full name, and there's nothing special about your name. You don't get more points for being called Amy or Anderson, but your education. Now, as opposed to just knowing the highest level of education that a candidate has had, we would like to score these various levels of education. We would like to give them scores. Say, someone whose highest level of education is a high school diploma will score less than someone who has a bachelor's degree. And someone who has a bachelor's degree will score less than someone who has a master's. And just like that, someone who has a master's will score less than someone who has a PhD. Now, when the candidate fills this form and selects any of these options, then they get to score, right? And then field of study, we could leave field of study. I mean, it's just a question. Like, it doesn't really matter. Let's say, so long as your field of study is not in, something so far apart from what we're doing here, it doesn't matter so much. So we're not going to score candidates based on field of study. But when we go to work experience, we can score. This is another parameter where it makes sense to score the candidate. So in our organization, we would like candidates who have had more, more years of experience on the job. So if you have someone who has had 6+ years of experience, we would like to give them a higher score than someone who's had 3 to 5 years, or someone who has had 1 year of experience. So this is another parameter where we're going to score candidates. So when they fill the form, we'll get the information, we'll see what they filled, right? And then you also get a score. So that way we can say we only want people who attain a certain score. Those are the people we're going to look at. If they don't score up to this, we're just going to screen them out. That makes the process of streamlining your candidates easier, and you don't have to pay so much for software to get this. I'll be showing you how to do that in no time. Okay, so most recent job title. This we shouldn't score people based on this, but industry experience. Say, we're in the healthcare space, and we'll prefer people who have worked in healthcare over people who have worked in tech and finance. So it's not like we're not saying no to anyone who has worked in tech or finance, but we'll just prefer people who have worked in healthcare over either of these two. Okay, and then let's go to job skills. The more of these tools that the candidates can use, the more points we want to accrue to them. So we're just gonna use this as well. And then their confidence level, I mean, this is their proficiency, and what they think of their proficiency might not be the same thing, but we want to know their confidence level in using in this skill, epic writing. I'm thinking of changing this and making it something else. Let's call it research. Let's call it research instead of epic writing. Okay, yeah, so we'd like to know, how confident are you? So this, depending on their answer, I would like to give them a score as well. So finally, we have the qualitative questions. So these are the questions that where the candidate gets to explain, gets to tell us, we get to see their thinking process and see how they approach problems that they might encounter on the job. So these are pretty, these are standard questions that you'd expect in an application form such as this. And then, of course, a prompt to upload their resume. So let's go. I'm going to be showing you how I would approach this form. So first off, I'm going to rename this. Let's call it hiring Inc. application form. All right. Okay. So we have a title for our form now. Now let's go. Oh, we could leave this operation assistant application form. Okay. No. We're going to start from the personal information. Personal information, everything seems to work well here, like this. I mean, it looks good. So now let's go to education. Now, like I said, we would like to rank people, score people based on their answers to these questions. We want a situation where someone whose highest level of education is a high school diploma, scores, gets some points, but not as much as someone who has completed his bachelor's degree, and not as much as someone who has completed his master's as well, with PhD being the highest. So let me show you how I would go about this. So to start, I'll head over to logic, and then I'll head over to the question. So this is the question: highest level of education completed. To answer this question, the candidate chooses this. That's a high school diploma as the answer. Then we want to give them a score. So let's say to do that, we'll go to add, and we'll add, let's give them a score of 2. Let's add 2 to the score, right? So this is great. But I mean, that's not the only option here. So we want to also score all the other potential answers to that question. So if they select bachelor's degree instead, Then again, we would like to add higher score this time, say 3 to the score. Either you select masters, then we would like to add 4 to the score. And finally, if they select a PhD as their highest level of education completed, then we want to give them the highest score, which is 5. So this way, we've scored all of these parameters. We've scored the highest level of education completed. So now let us save this. Now all of that is saved. Now when they see this, they'll only see, you know, let me show you what they'll see. So this is the form. So when they see this question, they only see this. They don't see scores here. So they'll only be seeing questions on the application form. They won't be seeing the scoring process that goes on at the background. This way we can have our preferred candidates. Let's say our preferred candidate has a demography. We have certain people that would like to have in this job. We want people who are educated to the highest level. We would like people who have experience working in this field. We would like people who have been working in our industry. So we can use this point system to really get the cream of the crop when it comes to work candidates. So the next one is we're going to be using years of experience now. In here we have 0 to 2 years, 3 to 5 years, and 6 years. So similarly, we can use logic as well to get this done. So that's here years of experience. So add a rule just like before, and then we'll say if they select 0 to 2 years, they want to give them a score of 1. If they select 3 to 5 years, they would like to give them a score of 2 because they have more experience than people who've had only 1 or 2 years in the field. And then finally, if they've had up to 6 years of experience, then we would like to give them a score of 3. So let's add 3 to the score. Good. Let's save this again. Good. And here we are, most recent job title. Not so important. I mean, we're not going to score people based on their most recent job title, but we are going to score them based on the industry experience. In this field, let's assume that we are in the healthcare space, right? Because we like to save lives and things like that. Now, we would like to give preference to people who have had experience in the healthcare space over people who have either worked in tech or finance. We don't want to discourage people who have worked in tech or finance from applying, but if we have candidates who have had some experience in the healthcare space, then we would like to give these guys more points than people who are in either of these who have worked in either of these fields. So to do that, again, we go to logic, and then we go to industry experience. So because we like to give people who have worked in healthcare more of a more of we like to give them an edge here. We'll give them 2 points. So we'll give them 2 points. Add 2 points to their score. Meanwhile, if we have those who have scored who have worked in either tech or finance, we would like to give them 1 point. So let's add 1 point to the score. Good. Again, if they've worked in finance, oh, sorry, I guess they've worked in finance, then we'd like to give them a score of 1 as well. So as you can see now, what this does is that those who have worked in healthcare, they get an edge over those who have worked in finance. It's just an edge. It doesn't mean they're guaranteed to be selected over those other people. It's just an edge, and we like that idea. So we're done with this page now. We're going to talk about the job skills. So job skills, that's the next page. So all of these are important. We in our company stack, we use all of these tools, right? So the more of these tools that the candidates has experience with, the more points we like to give to them. So instead of this is a multiple choice question, they can select as many as possible. So here's how we're going to score this part. Okay, so we're going to give each of these tools a score of 1 point. So if the candidate says I can use Excel and I can use SQL and I can use Asana and I can use Jira, then they get all 4 points. But if they can only use two of these, then they only get 2 points. So it's not an either or type situation, it's an and. So if they select this, then they get 1 point as well. 1 point to the score. If they select this, then we would like to give them 1 point as well. And finally, so this is 1 1 1. Final rule. They select Jira. Then we wanna add. So there you have it. Now, while we're here, we can just, fix the next, we can score the next point in the same section, which is the rate your proficiency in research. So now here, as you can see, before I do this, let me show you what this looks like. So this is the confidence level, or this is their assessment of their proficiency in research. Now, these, as you can see, these are points. So you have from 1 to 5, from 1 being the not confident at all and 5 being super confident. Now, if candidates chooses not confident, then you see that they get a score of 1. So these has scores, right? Logic is kind of different. Let me show you how that works. So rate your proficiency. If the value is equal to this, because it's their values, it tells you if it's equal to this or greater than this, then we do something, right? So what we'll do here is, if they say, for anybody who picks like a confidence level lesser than 4, then we're not going to give them any points for that. Okay, so for that field now, we're going to say if the value of the candidate selection is less than 4, then we're going to give them a score of 0. But if it is greater than or equal to 4, so from 4 and above, then we want to give them a score of 1. So we want people who are confident in their skills. anyone who rates themselves less than 4, then we want to give them a score of 0. But they give themselves a score of 4 and above, then we want to give them 1. We want to add 1 to their score. So this, we'll save this. We have those conditions saved in. It's just like a typical form out there, but this time you get quantitative data as well as qualitative. Now, when we head over to the last page, which is quantitative info, you see that how would you approach working with an engineer? These are qualitative questions. So you need these as well because you like to know. I mean, they could have all the training, but the way they approach problems could be different from what your organization would like. So when you have these questions in conjunction with these types of quantitative assessment, then you'll be able to make the best decision. So the candidates will have to feel these as well, so you can know if they're the best fit for the job. So Clickiny allows you to do this, and it's lovely for that because typically you would have to pay for really expensive software to get these features, but with Clickiny, they're just a part of the package. So yes, here we go. We're done with this. They get to upload their resume. Now, before we go ahead, let's publish this form. I think we can publish this now because it looks good. Let's publish the form and see. So to publish the form, you have 3 options. You have the share, embed, and you have the QR code option. You can just print this out and candidates would, scan this and fill the form. Or you could embed it somewhere in your website, or you could just share it, the URL. For the purpose of this video, I'm just gonna get the link and show you what we would be working with. So let's go. Okay, so this is the form. Let's fill it. Let's say my name is Alex Benjamin, and my name is Alex. My email is Alex. Highest level of education completed, high school diploma, field of study, computer engineering or computer science. Let's go. I've had 3 to 5 years of experience. Assistant job title, software developer. On my industry experience, I worked in tech. So we have Excel. I can use Excel. I can use Jira. Research. I can use M4. Okay, let's say upload a resume. I'm just going to use this random PDF on my computer. And as a candidate, I've filled this form. Let's see. We don't want bad grammar on our form, so let's just correct any of this. Paying. So here we go. We can submit the form now. Okay, so our form is submitted. Now I want to show you what it looks like. So let's just go here. So these are the forms I have so far, and this is the one we've been working with. So I'm going to go to submissions so I can show you what it will look like. So as you can see, these are the questions and these are the candidates responses. So in response to the full name question, you get this. In response to the highest level of education, this is the answer I picked. Now, all of these are typical, when you any form builder you use, you're going to see this, but check this out. This is the score. So this is the score that this candidates accumulated after they had finished filling this form, after they had provided us with all of their data. This is the form that it gets. So with this, I can say, if a candidate scores less than 10, or if they score less than, or if they score up to 10, then those are the people I would like to, you know, you get for this job. But if they score less than 10, I don't want people anybody scoring less than 10. In that, and I know that in that case, Alex will be excluded. But you know, we have a standard. We have a standard that we would like to maintain in our organization. So this Clickiny allows me to do this, and it's lovely for that. So I think you should check it out. So get to building. You know, don't have to pay for uber expensive software just to get the best candidates for your jobs. This is how I would go about this problem if I still had it. Yeah, so thanks for sticking around. Cheers.